Here to learn about Rebecca Gould's Erasing Palestine, Free Speech and Palestinian Freedom. Rebecca, what inspired you to write this book?
Well, the beginnings of the book go back quite a long time to when I was living in Bethlehem and I was commuting to Jerusalem in 2011 to 2012. And I, for a brief period of my life, experienced life in terms of the commute, at least, as a Palestinian worker. So I saw the very difficult conditions under which Palestinians labor, the struggle for just getting by, and random cuts off, how electricity was randomly cut off, or the water was randomly cut off. And I was really overwhelmed by the kind of the difficult conditions in which Palestinians were living. And I wrote about that at the time, and then I eventually left. After that year, I left Palestine, and I went on to my life and started a life in the UK. And it came back to haunt me, that period of my life in Palestine came back to haunt me about 5 years later, when a student went through my writings, a student in the UK at the University of Bristol went through my writings on Palestine, and the student was Israeli, and they didn't agree with my criticisms of Israel, and so they initiated a complaint against me, and I was accused of anti-Semitism in this complaint. So that brought me back to the debate around like what you can and cannot say about Israel, and I realized that I was sort of caught in the middle of a very pivotal point in the history of Palestinian activism in the UK, because the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism had just been adopted, which was a new way of approaching the study of anti-Semitism that focuses on criticism of Israel as the primary sort of evidence on which accusations of being anti-Semitic were often made. And the government, it was a conservative government, and they were doing everything they could to showcase their alliance with the state of Israel. That included cracking down on Palestinian activism within the UK. So this was all relatively new, because I think historically the UK had been a place where there was a lot of freedom for Palestinian activism relative to the US, and yet that was changing, and I saw that changing before my eyes. I was a part of that change, in a sense, without intending to be. So this book is a reflection on that moment in my life. It's a reflection on how that crackdown in Palestinian activism parallels the crackdown within Palestine, the erasure of Palestine by the settlements and the checkpoints, and how these two intersect. And it's also a reflection on other approaches to anti-Semitism and what's wrong with the IHRA definition, why definitions that are just all about language don't really get at the heart of what anti-Semitic racism is. And yeah, it's a personal journey, it's a political commentary, it's many things in one.